You're moving.
There we go.
That one's for you.
Okay. Here's your agenda, Chester.
Shared order these for all the members, so.
All right.
Your custom Culver mask.
Oh, gosh, I'm gonna cherish that forever.
That's the right answer.
I've got one for Argus, and I can only wear it when I'm in Argus.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you can't wear it over here.
No.
Might be one great.
He does, yes.
I don't know.
Look at everybody for it.
There you go.
Did you make these as a going away present?
Shared ordered them a while ago, I just haven't.
I figured you would wait until you grabbed it out.
No, actually, Chuck having the Argus one made me kind of jealous. She asked if we should get them, and I was like,
Somebody like rub these with hand sanitizer before you pass them out?
These?
Yeah. Right.
not that I'm aware of. That smells like rubbing alcohol. That was dinner, come on.
And now, it is where you smell it.
Apologize, I still don't have the flag card.
That's what I'm looking for. You knew what I was looking for, didn't you?
So we just like go to the one outside then? Well, I mean, it's
Well, we
Face the way.
usually over there.
going to wait.
Usually over there, yeah.
Over the corner.
You know, face that direction, I think there's one there.
The flag don't need
And they want to stand each other.
it. Yeah. Everybody looking at it. So, I'm sure this.
I'm happy to have this one. Yeah.
Oh, no, I just make sure everybody, who's only got one other member there. On the board. Oh, okay. Yeah, Andy right there. All right, I've got 6:30. So, call meeting to order. Everybody here all right? Out there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
give me just, this is Don, give me 30 seconds just to pull up my document. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, let's start with the roll call.
All right, Barry McManaway, Pete Peterson,
Present.
Wayne Bean,
Here.
okay, Dan Osborne,
Present.
Chester Goot,
Here.
Andy Stratty,
Present.
Joel Samuelson.
Present.
All right, we are all present and accounted for.
And raise your flag. Here with me. Pledge allegiance to the flag.
Flag of the United States of America,
Which stands one nation
under God,
Liberty and justice for all.
Rebirth. All right, next is the approval of the. So move. Second. First and second. All in favor?
Aye.
aye. Who made our first and second, please?
First, all first, Dan Osborne second. I need the appointment of the members or the positions of the members. So,
What positions do we have?
we have president, vice president, and our secretary.
Any nominations for that?
Any other nomination for president?
Hello.
What? Go through the next and
One time, vote for or vote for all. All right, what's our nomination for vice president?
Pete Peterson.
And for Tom? Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, any other nominations anybody has? Okay. Okay. You know, say aye, Bill, we,
that's Lloyd.
Sound isn't coming through well.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing as well.
I got a mic right in front of me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Okay. All right, we got all nominations, got Barry McManaway, president, got Pete Peterson, vice president, Don Fox for secretary.
Yes.
I just need an aye for a vote, accept.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. You got that down, Don?
Yeah, I didn't, I got the results. I didn't catch who nominated whom, but
Yeah, Joel nominated president,
Just,
Dan,
no,
Don Fox,
right, it's just a
and
nomination.
Chuck nominated Pete Peterson.
got it. Thank you.
All right, case number 001P, subdivision plat. Yep.
Here it is. And it's fairly simplistic. Basically, we're going from 5 lots in a sliver. We presently have 2 property owners next door to each other. And they decided going to property line goes right through the middle of the house. Yes. And so for that reason, the powers that be here, and I to be honest, can't remember whether it was Chuck or somebody said, you really ought to replat that thing.
Yeah.
And so we're coming in. When we went to the surveyor, we basically said to him, try to make both lots as conforming as possible. And so for that reason, we have a curved lot line in the middle. There's not a curve, but an angled lot line in the middle so that we could try to get, and we did, the 10-foot setbacks from the 2 present houses that are there. Basically split them down the middle. And where we did not get zoning conformity is there's no physical way that those 2 properties can be large enough because they just aren't. The 3 lots were basically 35-foot lots, and so they only run to about 100 feet. The other ones was the 2 lots were, I think, 40 feet. But because of that, we basically split between the 2 to get the maximum number of square footage in both parcels as equal as possible, and to get the maximum setbacks that we could get. So we're just asking you to approve a 2-lot subdivision from a 5-lot and a parcel subdivision.
This is Russ. Can I have an address or a tax number for one of the lots, please?
It's
954 West Shore
and 958.
and 958 West Shore.
Thank you.
So Jim, basically what we're talking about is this number 3 lot that is off of the drive, right? Here we got the lake. So we're talking about, is this the one that we're basically,
That's
they're
the line.
split, they're
Yeah.
splitting, they're going, okay, let's just split this, go down the middle, we go, we start here,
Right.
we go over there, okay, yeah, all right, okay.
This is off that, right, right.
No, that's off, West Shore. Yeah,
West.
Yeah, that's West, that's off West.
Hold on just a second.
Yes.
Well, I guess it's off of,
That's-
actually,
Oh,
is that drive
it's
around.
right in the middle of the plan commission meeting.
It's the
Right.
1
So, yeah.
subdivision.
Right, so that would
Well, I'll give you a call when we get down here.
area. Right,
Yeah.
right, right, and that, this,
Thank you.
I want my dog to.
Yeah, it's Bill Brown, Wilson Flower.
Hey, Chester, can you mute, please?
Pardon?
Can you mute, please? I'm having a hard time hearing the discussion.
They were
I didn't- I'm having a hard time also. What did you say?
And on the neighbor, even though. Yeah.
Chester, please mute yourself.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yellow is the other. Blue owned 2 lots.
Don, are you able to see the screen down there?
Here's that.
Yeah, this.
Can you see what's on the screen, Don?
Yeah, give me a moment here. Yes, I can. Got it.
Okay.
Okay, the blue is 1
These
owner.
5 here, right?
Those 2 lots,
Yes.
the blue is 1 owner. And then the yellow is.
Plus
the
that
other.
little sliver down there.
Let's see, if you notice, the property line between the two owners is very similar to that house. See these lots of that.
It's those 5 parcels that are selected on the screen now.
See, you have about 4 that look about the same, and then the 1 sliver on the bottom. So what we asked them to do was to combine all of those and get rid of the interior lot line so that we had 2 lots instead of the 5.5.
Any members have any discussion on this?
Looks like we're just cleaning up a mess.
Look like Chuck.
Yes, absolutely. Whoever said that, we're cleaning up a mess. And
That's Pete.
go ahead.
No, that's my standard reply to anything like this. It's always been my stance. If you can make something better when you get done. I think that's the grander scheme of things is our goal in most of these, and I think this is pretty much meets the definition of that.
Yeah, it's my recommendation that, we go ahead and accept this, approve it. Anytime we see situations like this come up, and we have a chance to make it better, we're taking somebody else's headache away 10 years down the road. So,
Any other members, anything? Any?
Eric, Mr. Smith, do you have any comments?
No, thank you. It is a mess. And the north edge of our cottage, well, not only is it split between 2 lots, but the north edge is about not only over the line, but the next cottage is about 3 feet away.
Huh.
So it's a mess. So I appreciate it.
Sure.
No other discussion now.
I'll make a motion that we approve,
We can't vote for it.
oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna make a motion. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I entertain a motion for the public hearing. We can't vote.
So moved.
Okay, first. Second, one.
Yes.
So we need to vote. No. Yeah, on favor, closing.
Aye.
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 All right.
Aye.
All right, so if no other discussion. Entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve, changes, to this situation, as presented by Mr. Easterday on behalf of the Smith family.
Okay, we got a first, we got a motion. Second. Joel seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Approved.
You should really do a roll call when you have people that are not present. You should really do a roll call.
Everybody is there.
The president of the committee, so.
You have a name? Oh, yeah.
Especially if you have a vote where there's more,
Different.
it's unanimous, I think. they're
Unanimous,
okay,
I don't
but if you
see a
have one
reason.
person opposed, they can-
We had no no's.
Thanks for the input. We'll just continue on.
Hey, before we do continue on, I did miss, because we were having some sound difficulties, who moved and who seconded to open the public hearing?
You will.
There wasn't a vote.
Anyway.
If I can get a couple signatures and have an acting, a live audience sign for the.
We are taking just a short intermission here while we sign the plat. Get that out of the way. Bear with us.
For secretary.
Don, do you want to come in and sign this? Or?
Yeah, I will come by town hall and I'll sign it this week.
Okay. The 23rd, we'll still have. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Jim.
All right. Any old business? Burn property. Bay Street. That is a height. Yeah.
Is that the Bates house or?
That's the one that part.
We live in State Street. Okay.
If we get to go over 35.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's 34 point something.
Yeah.
It looks like.
No, I
30 now, don't
I
it?
haven't measured it, but I mean, what was approved.
Yeah, that's what was
That's what I
approved.
want to know.
So they're going from maximum height, yes.
They're going from that, they're going to push to 35. They're going 34 point.
Right. Existing now looks like it's really.
It's pretty close.
30 foot long. And they haven't got a roof on it yet.
Is it a flat roof?
It's, yes, I think it's a single slope.
Yeah, it is.
No. Well, I've been keeping my eye on it. I think it's just that one single slope.
I know with the 2.5 story. A lot of flat on that too.
You have-
No. But I mean, if it's over 35, we will. All right, anybody else have any? I'll say we'll do. Any more old business?
Barry, we had one thing that I thought I got on here, but I must have forgotten. We had talked about at technical review in December, there was a home on the lake where they were doing patio, landscape stones, is that what you call it? And they wanted to do it within the side yard setback area. And basically, they already had the okay, so we went ahead and let them move forward with that one, but we thought we would bring it back to Planning Commission for more input. Because sure enough, since then, Barry, I've had another phone call of someone asking about doing the same thing. And really, I think the discussion we got into a technical review was whether or not a landscape meets the definition of structure, which for those of you that have been on for a while, had the same structure or the same definition of structure for a while, but it's very broad. We've had some issues with it in the past. And I've gone back and forth on a very precise definition with multiple examples, and now I believe we're just at the original building materials above below grade is the definition of gas current. So reading that, and, you know, if the landscape stones are building materials, my assumption is that it is a structure and that they should be permitted. We had some back and forth on TRC about whether or not that's appropriate, because I think the other line that you cross into, and one we've kind of lost on in the past, was one where it was like pea gravel, right? That's just surrounded by like landscape edging, and that's not a structure. At least.
But it's not a building material, or is it?
And that's where I struggle with, and that's fine, that can be the line we draw, I think that makes sense, I just wanted to make sure everyone understood how we were handling that.
All right, I appreciate it. I'm not trying to, this is only my opinion. As far as my concern is, when it was considered, a structure was considered anything permanent at the time, and I think Pete, you probably are the only one.
Well, Russ is on here too, so Russ, you can chime in anytime you want to.
Let me know.
Well, there's one case you got to go back to, guys, and it's the top of State Street, and we lost on that one. You guys recall that case?
I do not.
We had landscaping blocks and stuff used to make a fire pit, I do believe, and that could probably use a little bit on that.
Right. No, I remember that one. Sorry.
Right. And that was the change. And kids, no, in South Shore, you turn, and it was under, plank and there's no crime. Guys, really good. Some structure, we don't push together, so we as a plan, made so change everything. Just about anything you want to do. I mean,
Yeah, this is Russ. May I make a suggestion, please? Anybody who's not talking, put their microphone on mute because the sounds coming in from other people's mics break up the signal and it's hard to hear what you're saying. So if you're not talking, put your microphone on mute, please. That would really help those of us who are trying to listen to this.
Andy's giving big thumbs up.
yeah,
Alright.
it would make it less complicated here.
Not
That's what I'm
touchscreen.
saying as well.
Mr. iPad.
Yes, I know.
I've muted everyone. You can unmute yourself to speak.
Russ, if you would continue, if you remember what we're talking about, I believe it was Ratcliffe, not to recall our names, but
I think that the zoning ordinance got changed after I was off, and because when I was doing the work, the stones or the platter, walking stones and everything were not considered structures. So I really don't have any input for you at this time because those weren't structures when I was involved. So I let them go as walkways. The only thing that it included was the 50% rule. In other words, they still had those were permanent, non-pervious surfaces, and they had to be within the 50% rule. But other than that, they weren't really considered structures that needed a permit. But you guys, I think the planning commission changed that since I've been on.
that was when Bobby Runo was on there when it was changed. So that's been years ago.
So that's even a third, I guess, consideration would be that something that came up, again, at that technical review committee meeting was, in this particular case, it was over 250 square feet. And, more deck shaped or whatever. But does it make sense to consider this a structure, but kind of looking at a narrower walkway or series of steps, not as a structure? I'm not sure. I guess where we left it at the meeting was if we saw future ones in front of us, we would consider them a structure, certainly at that size. If they're over that 250 square foot, then we would require a permit for them. And I guess this is the planning commission's chance, if you feel otherwise, to tell us to act differently or give me some feedback on the definition of structure that we need to handle differently.
The definition of a structure, that's a new topic for us.
It's your favorite, Pete. Just gonna put it at the top of every agenda from now on. Is that okay?
It's three-dimensional and goes above the ground. That's what we used to stick with.
Yeah.
I think, as far as whether you argue whatever, right? Having towns, you're actually increasing the part. I don't see where that would be an argument. Yeah. But, sidewalk, I don't think that we'll have to put a setback in the code. But we'll be in and I'm just saying there's got to be some boundaries. We went from open two sides, we had problems. We combined it, made anything structured, go above, contain everything, bending, whatever. But, so got over two certain what, we did, EDA, and even myself. I mean, I think it's cut and dry, but whether, I,
So one question I would have on it would be, Russ, have we ever used a definition, so say we stuck with the same definition, but just gave a longer list of examples of what is and what is not? So we still say it's a three-dimensional structure of low grade, but these are examples of a structure, and these are examples of a I mean, would that help clarify things? Have you guys ever tried one like that?
no, we haven't. No,
I can't remember what got us in trouble on the south end with those little yard sheds, but I know the definition of a structure was the main thing. And at that point in time, we got in trouble because we had over analyzed it and had too much verbiage in there.
Right.
I think Pete was, when it said permanent structure,
Permanent.
and the yard barns could be picked up and moved.
I agree.
And that's what got us.
Yeah, I'm not hearing a compelling, to not consider that a structure, so.
I think that would help. Example would help because it clarifies as far as where it's intended as far as it's project. And I think it does pay.
Start, so you're talking about a walking path, but you have to have a destination from point to point, right? Whereas if it just goes outside the house, it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, so you could use some descriptors like that to kind of clarify where you can, and or in combination with the size, so if it's narrower than 4 feet or narrower or
Right.
something like that.
Just like your lakeside.
Right. So that's kind of where my brain went, was that it's smaller than 250 square feet, it's not wider than 4 feet at any point.
Yeah.
That or below grade. That's probably, yeah. I'm saying that would require a building permit at this point. Over 250 square feet, maybe building materials.
This is Don. I'm just, Barry, I'm not getting much at all about what you're saying. So I don't know if you could speak up or lean closer to the mic a little bit, because I just don't want to miss any of it for the minutes. Thanks.
All right, I don't know what you missed, Don, but I was talking about, if we did put examples with our description as far as what's considered structure and what, as far as what we're not going to consider as a structure, what we consider examples as far as, and as Jonathan said, as far as holding a minimum square footage, whatever the structure that's put out there. I don't know if that structure would be structure.
If a sidewalk is a structure, sidewalk needs to be in the setback area. How else are you going to get around both of these houses?
Existing construction.
You built a new house, you had a 10-foot setback, and you met that with construction. Now you put a sidewalk in that 10-foot area, you're in the setback area.
On the street side. Obviously.
But you want to get from the front
Yes.
to the lakeside, so you walk on that sidewalk.
I'm just saying, the rules for a sidewalk, I guess, we want them in the town right away. That's probably not an issue. There are some that are.
Well, that's where we can dictate that they go, is on the.
We wouldn't allow a new one. It's not.
Right now, I'm in the town. Even though the town's got sidewalk, it's going to allow the street. So you come off that sidewalk and you turn right up the sidewalk coming to the house. Right. And it's all, you know,
Right,
from start to finish.
or you take it and go around the house. Well, not in setback.
Don't get carried away, guys. A sidewalk can't be a structure. You're gonna cause, your building commissioner all kinds of issues. He's gonna approve a house, the setbacks all be made, and then the poor owner of the house would like to put a sidewalk in so he can get to his house. And now he needs a variance because he's in the setback area. You can't make the sidewalk or the walking stones part a structure. It just doesn't play well.
Well, you are agreeing with the majority here.
We agree with you. That would be an example of not a structure to add to the list for us.
Because I mean, you've got driveways, there's on the property line, that's a structure. I don't think sidewalk can necessarily be different than driveway, access to house access.
Okay, so have we made any headway and we have any agreement? We're in agreement, I believe, that a sidewalk is not a structure. It can go in the setbacks areas because it's not a structure. And it only counts for impervious surface.
I don't know if we classify it as a still a structure, but it's not a structure as far as
You can't, it's a sidewalk. You can't say anything about a structure or you're going to tangle up your definition again. I don't think you can say a sidewalk is a structure.
I think you can say a sidewalk.
right. Do I have anybody want to move to accept this or have any other suggestions?
I still can't remember what made us lose up at Trent Bennett's house when he took those blocks and made it, and it was considered a structure. You remember that case?
That's what I was trying to get you to. Did we change the ordinance because of that? And the judge had said it was too cumbersome, or did we already have the current definition? Yeah. Okay. So this was the one that was the opposite. The judge said it was too vague.
Yeah, and I can't remember if that was that case or was it the yard barns to the south. But one of those two was too. Like you said, we got us in trouble on the definition. But
Was that within the setback? Or not?
I don't think it's that back.
I don't think so.
I mean, my suggestion is that one of those examples should be that.
I think it's a good idea. I don't think we need to have a motion to make a decision right now. Let's look at it a little bit broader terms, and we'll bring something back to the planning commission next month, and we'll have time ahead of time to look at it and see which direction we need to do it then.
Say this, I would add to that. I agree with you, but I know I'd like to see already this year that we don't stop having, we have tried to meet successful things, we split in the future, we're going to talk about it. It seems like a lot of times it gets stated because there's a lot goes on and it's not anybody's fault. The BJ has a
What examples can you give so that we can avoid that? So that I can avoid it, because it looks like you're talking to me.
You are the one.
Okay, so what have I dropped or not brought back, or don't we have completed yet?
Oh, or, thank you for the point.
Yeah.
No, that wouldn't be, you would have it if we dealt with it. Okay. I mean, planning commission has to deal with it. And, maybe changing ordinance or whatever.
Okay, well, you all get a copy of the agenda, and that can be added to, changed, or amended
any time up until, after you get it, we can make those changes. If you see something else that needs to be added. I wonder if help. As you see something that, oh yeah, we had that in the back of our mind and we were thinking about that, let's help and get it on the agenda.
Anytime through this month, after this meeting, we've got another meeting next month. Anytime, if you have anything, if you have suggestions, that can help some of these problems that we talk about. I email, and someone does the agenda, and I can get it on there. I would appreciate that too.
Guys, this definition has been hashed around so many times, it's crazy. And I'm almost to the point in time when we do come up with a new one, we have it looked over by council before we put it in anything.
Absolutely. Very good idea.
Yeah, that's necessary.
Thank you as legal counsel. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, legal counsel, is that correct?
That is correct. Guys, there's just too much at stake on that definition.
Totally agree.
Totally agree. Agree with it.
And I still got a little sting in my keister from a couple times.
We don't want to sting your keister any more than it already has been.
When I talk about science, Pete.
Duly noted.
I'm just not sure how to spell keister in the minutes, so maybe I'll just omit that part.
Okay, yeah. Does anybody else have any old business? I'm good. Yeah, thank you. If not, we'll go to new business, and I think Eric might have something to say about the institutional zoning.
Yeah, where we're at with the institutional zoning, we thought we had a pretty good idea of where we were going with everything, what we wanted to do. When we started looking at other ordinances, it was clear that we needed a better understanding of what we wanted. So right now, we're trying to put together an ordinance that we could come back to the plan commission with. So it's been more difficult than we thought. We thought we had it. It turns out that we needed better clarification and better understanding. Not completed yet, but.
Is there anything you can give us as far as some of the main issues that you're looking at? I know the height has to be one of the issues I can remain, but already part on.
Height.
And then you got
coverage,
cap on a fence or whatever.
Right.
I know over sometimes that was started.
And also the setbacks. Does it go from the parcel line or does it go from the institutional zoning? Take for example, Culver Community Schools. They've got more than one parcel, so do we go on their overall footprint or do we go from each parcel, just like we do with residential zoning? So there were some things there that we didn't anticipate that we're trying to work out.
No, that would be. I know that's a complicated issue right there too. I know.
Right.
Did you guys get that?
Yes.
Chuck talked about what they were kind of looking over. After here, Andy.
I got it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. I knew you couldn't hear me before. I just want to make sure. All right. Drug commissioner report. Keep going, Chuck.
That's probably one of the main things we're working on. With Jonathan leaving, there's some changes that we've kind of been working on, just so that you all know. I'll be spending more time in Culver. And be in the future setting up some regular business hours, days and hours that I'll be in the building. So as things progress over the next few weeks, I'll keep you informed on what's happening there. So I think that's one of the main things that's happening there, and what Jonathan was doing from our side, the building side, I'll be taking that over, and also getting some regular hours like Russ used to have in the town building, town hall. So I think those are the main things. There's been some discussion among some of the other communities, and I'm not asking any input or anything else, but there's been some discussion about minimum housing standards and also rental unit registration and inspections. We don't have the problem here in Culver as much as we do in other communities, but there still are some that are rental units that people live in and really, really don't meet any type of minimum housing standards. And until a building permit is issued, or it becomes so evident on the outside that it's unsafe, we can't go in the building, look around, or get anything changed. And we're talking about not landlords, but we're talking about slumlords. And that's something I just wanted to bring up for you guys to be aware of. You can give me any input that you want, any direction, or none at all. You know, there are other communities that have a charge for, you have to register as a rental unit, and there's a yearly charge, and they use that charge to go out and do building inspections yearly or as needed. So that's a possibility, that I'm not making any recommendation, just telling you what I'm hearing.
If I can piggyback on that, Chuck, just to back you up, I know at the unsafe building committee at the county level, several times after meetings, this was discussion amongst myself and some other communities, like I said, I think we're in better shape than our neighbors in Marshall County as far as that goes. From some of the stories I heard from them, but there are a lot of communities, or a lot of those in that area already have adopted this and have achieved. And I think maybe one thing you will see happen is Culver or the whole county or whoever went this route is maybe it would give us also a chance to kind of get in front of some of those unsafe building situations.
Yes.
We've identified some of those route properties that are in bad shape. So that gives you a reason and a way to get in there and check on those.
So it's actually allows, for lack of a word, a probable cause to check it out before it gets out of hand. It has to go to the county.
Well, it wouldn't have to be a probable cause. It would just be on the annual inspection, whether you inspect everything once a year, you get it every other year, but you stay ahead of the curve and get things into compliance. Some of these places we go into, you wouldn't put your dogs, to be honest with you, you really wouldn't.
But I know with an annual inspection, for that, I know there's going to be cases, there's going to be people coming to and whatever, and say it's a problem.
Right.
You know, and it might be 2 months after the inspection.
And that's
that would, what
possible.
I'm saying, I'd say probable cause, but I don't think that's the proper word. I think it's as far as it actually allow you to get a start on something that you can actually put a stop to before it got to that upper level.
What I've been spending some time and looking at is the ordinance for Napanee. They've got about a 20 or 25 page ordinance that really is pretty clear. And I don't know, I haven't talked to their plan director or the building commissioner yet. It's on my list to do, but talk to them and ask how it's working and what they would change and that sort of thing. So if you want to get online, you can go to Napanee and just look at the rental ordinance. Not that we're looking for more work to do, but we're looking to be able to take care of the people that are less fortunate and have less means to take care of themselves. So that
Hey,
was all.
Chuck, this is Don. I have a question on that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you kind of bring that up, it's like, yeah, you can drive around town or in our zoning area, and there's some rentals that you're right. You're like, my God, does somebody actually live there? So one of the things, of course, makes us different than some of the surrounding communities is because we have so many rentals that are short term, either a week or a weekend or even academic year. So have you kind of thought through what that might look like?
Well, what I was thinking about that is they still need to be listed, still need the fee. And they're going to be inspected on a routine basis. Now, some we will probably, if you inspect one that's in bad shape, you're going to put it on for 90 days out or 6 months out or whatever. You're not going to wait the next year or 18 months before you see it again. Some that, that we're talking about that have good landlords and the houses are in good, those can probably be put on a 1 year or 18-month rotation or something.
Okay.
So I think we have different time.
Check, since they're commercial, do we have the right to go in there and spot inspect on smoke detectors and stuff like that?
On commercial?
Yes.
If it's a rental or privately owned or what?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in my opinion is if it's a rental, that's almost a commercial property, isn't it?
No, I mean, it still could be, still be zoned residential, that they're just renting it out. So
sure,
commercial property more like a restaurant or store or something like that.
Yep.
And we don't look at those on a regular basis because we passed code at the time it was done. Until they get another building permit, we don't do an inspection. If we have a complaint or a problem, we'll go in and take a look at that only.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else got anything for me? I'll turn it back over to Barry.
I have something. I didn't ever know if it's old business, new business, or building commissioner, but I was curious how the auctions turned out for the former City Tavern property as well as the house that was the guy owned.
Those are a week from today at 1 o'clock.
Ew, okay. I have my dates wrong. I thought they'd already taken place.
Yeah, I mean, originally I think we thought we were going to get on for November or December, but so the next council meeting will know.
So put together your best bid package
Right.
and try to get it for us.
Oh yeah, I checked my bank balance.
I have one thing for you, Chuck, I guess, is on every report. And I know it was just wait. I think it might be getting better on that part, I'm sure.
Did you guys hear what Barry's question was?
I did not.
Okay, his question was, where are we at with number of permits, financial, money that we're bringing in for permits and that sort of thing. And I'll have to tell you that I don't have that, but I'll have it for you next meeting. I'll have it before the next meeting. It's something that the report would be generated. I think it has to be generated through the county building. And we'll go from there. They usually give us a monthly report, but I'll try to get something that'll be for all of 2020 and then year to date so far. We've done well because we've had some big projects at the academy, to be honest with you.
It's not a home, too.
Well, there's a lot of homes, but when you talk about $5,000 or $6,000 coming into the town for each of those buildings at the academy, that's big money.
Chuck, I have a question. This is Chester.
Hold on a minute,
The Hopple property, what's the situation there?
Chester.
The Hopple property is still the Hopple property. We had a discussion on going forward with it. It's on our agenda to get to court in 2021. And that's what the plan is. I think that's the big thing that we've got there is one at a time and walk through the process. Hopple, we're going to try to go for receivership, but because of other things that have been going on here, we just haven't had time to put that together.
A lot of activity out there.
Yeah. And the structure that's going up on the west side of the park, the house there, I just drove by there today and I was amazed. It looks like a skyscraper is being built. Does that meet the requirements?
At this time, they've told us it does. If you remember, they were going to be at 34.9 or something like that, 34 feet 9 inches.
Wow.
Until they're done and we can do we got to get a roof on it before we can make a determination if it's too tall or not. So that's where we're at on that.
Okay.
Anything else, Chuck?
Chester.
Chester?
Thank you.
No, I noticed a lot of fences going up on the west side, Main Street, even on the south side, there's fences, and I don't know, they're brand new fences, and I don't know whether it's been permits issued those,
If you have an address,
I can get the address.
if you give me an address and send it to me, we have had several fence permits go out.
I know, with the reports, that was really, and I'm not picking on you, I'm not doing anything. I know with the reports, we always do the address.
Just to be clear, Barry, I mean, what you're saying is you want it monthly, so you know kind of what permits have gone out that
The
month,
monthly would
essentially, so.
be fantastic.
We don't have the names of the properties, but we can give you how many fence permits, how many house permits.
You wouldn't have the address on
Yeah,
it?
the report that Lori sends with the financials, Chuck, it has a name on it. I'm trying to picture it in my head. It says the amount. I think it has the address and name on it.
I was thinking it did. Years ago,
I think it does have that on there, but
I know.
well, that's on a separate sheet. I don't think a county takes anybody's real.
Fence permits.
They still go through the online system, but the county doesn't take any money for them, so I think that's that concept.
Chuck, did the school get permits for all those fences?
Who's that again?
The Culver Community Schools put up a
Yes.
bunch of fences.
Yes, they did.
That permit, anything on their fence, I mean, I've never heard of that. Somebody else said, well, why isn't the permit? But I've never heard of that.
It's been a difficult problem to hang a permit since we went to the online system because it's printed out by the homeowner or the contractor and it goes on to regular paper. When it was a hard copy and it was handed out, then it could stand the. So we've been, if they put it in the window of the house, I'm happy.
I just, you know, like the report itself monthly, you get that does contact, you know, like that, we're doing it, but be for me.
I think that report she gives them, right now, she just gives it to Julie or me to check for the financial, make sure that we get paid the right amount. If we just make a copy of that, stuck it in your box truck or something, I think it has all that in it.
Well,
She mails it to us with the check every month, but I usually just, Julie or I usually just check the financials.
I can talk to Lori and have her send that to you. Also, she can
But
just.
it is, I mean, it's probably a month behind.
I mean, a month behind, I mean, I know with the way things have been as far as with the COVID, with everything, I mean, it's been a chaotic year. Hopefully it won't repeat it. But, I mean, I know with these issues, I feel bad. I even presented to Chuck as far as I see a fence out there, because I know opportunity is not even been there. And then by the time I've got that address wrote down, I might get around to see you or whatever, which, you have the phone number?
You can call into the town. I've got a town email address. So either way you want to do that. Okay. We do have a couple comments online. And yes, Kevin, we're going to get to those. One comment that we have is that the Marshall County Crossroads Housing Committee has had discussions on this, meaning the rental housing, and it says it is a thorny issue. In many cases, those homes were bought at foreclosures and will be abandoned for taxes before they will put money into them or improvements. Then we could be putting these people out on the street. So the Crossroads Housing Committee has been talking about it, and they see that as a downside. I don't know. I'm beginning to see that as an upside. If you can get people out of places they shouldn't live, you're doing them a favor, even if it's an inconvenience in the short term. Okay, so the reply to that was we were mixed. We don't know the solution. So that was the reply to what I just said. And thank you for that. You know, it's not an easy answer, something that we just need to think about going down the road.
All right, nothing else for Chuck? Move on to citizen input. Anybody out there have comments, problems, solutions?
Chuck?
Yes.
Is it been determined when the institutional zoning committee is going to meet again?
No, it has not been.
Okay, all right. Just wondered if I missed something. I had.
No,
Okay.
you have not, Chester, and thank you for
Okay.
asking.
No citizen input? Out there? All right, new members have any concerns, input? Dan, Osborne, you have any? Joel Sanders? Nope. Andy, you have anything?
No, I do not.
Anything we haven't talked about already?
Chester, do you have any other concerns or input?
Well, yes, I'd like to say thanks to Jonathan for the work that he's done with everyone. He'll be leaving us pretty soon. Thanks very much, Jonathan. Wish you the best.
Thank you, Chester, I appreciate it.
I think we all echo that. Thank you, Chester.
Absolutely.
Keith, you have anything?
Beside echoing Chester as well, I hate to do that, but I echo what Chester said about Jonathan. And also, I don't know what the setup is there, but whatever is being used for you to talk into, you sound like Charlie Brown's teacher. Something needs to get rectified on that end.
Is it just Barry or is it me too?
It's just Barry, and I don't know if it's the tone of the voice or what. Chuck comes through loud and clear, and I don't know if it's. It almost sounds like it's too far away from Barry or something. But very, very hard to pick out. And I feel for Don trying to pick up what's going on.
I will hang it around just next time.
Yeah, we all just have to learn to yell towards the microphone.
Yeah, got it.
Maybe you need to move the desk a little bit.
I've got a mic right here too, 1 foot from me. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, there's night and day. I mean, there's no comparison. I don't know what the difference is, but man, you're like out in left field.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I made you sound good in the minutes, Barry.
I'd make a suggestion if you nominated somebody else.
I am gonna try and buy 2 more microphones, so hopefully we get a little better coverage.
All right.
I think
Do you have any other suggestions? Concern? Talking right into the mic. Everybody hear me?
Yes,
Okay. Don, did you have anything?
I do not.
All right, and,
Did you ask Wayne?
oh, Maine, do you have anything?
Of course Barry doesn't want to ask me.
No, but you're my friend, Wayne. You're my friend. I'm gonna make sure you include it.
Nothing
I don't really have anything from the billing standpoint. I do have something from the meeting standpoint. I think we have a set of rules in books, and I think we need to follow the books instead of rehashing some of the stuff that we constantly do at the meetings. And these meetings will move along a lot better.
Okay.
That's all I gotta say.
All right, if you want to entertain a motion to adjourn. No. Second by Dan.
Who's the first?
Joel,
Got it.
Joel was first.
Dan.
Dan second.
Aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen. Good night.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
When's your official last day?
The 29th, I think it's.
29th? So I'll see you on, I'll see you on Thursday,
I
right?
can't wait for that one.
Oh,
It's gonna be a
geez.
blast, isn't it?
Yeah, that's gonna be
Easy.
BCA. Woo.
Good night.
Good night.